Hello, everybody, and welcome to the January 26th Trips and Traps. Andy Sterling, Eric Donovan.
We have 5 races to bring you from last week, and 5 races spread over just 2 days. The first day we'll take a look at is the 17th. This is race number 7, a starter allowance optional claimer for fillies and mares going a mile.
Yeah, now one of the horses we're going to focus on, BELLE, the 6 horse, is actually entered back, I believe, on Wednesday's card when we come back from the break, and that's the 6 horse. She'll get over the rail in good position early. The other one, Expression, it was an experiment to try to stretch this horse out, and clearly she doesn't want to go long. And it's another example of why these riders need to have a plan coming out of the gate, because if you get post 8, especially the sprinter stretching out, you have to go back for position. Sitting on the outside and not thinking about where to go while the rider of BELLE got inside, he's out in the middle of nowhere. Here's BELLE. Here is the 6-8 Expression in the middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere, hung out 3 wide for a horse that, is 4 wide maybe even, for a horse that's trying something new, and a pace that really doesn't develop here either. So it's not like he's 4 wide behind a scorching pace sitting off the pace. This is a slow pace where the 1-2 runners are just going to flip-flop positions down the stretch, and these horses will hold on for winning place.
Now, I thought that Junior Alvarado, who rode Expression, was much more aggressive towards the end of the week, and you saw that was really good to see him getting more involved in the races out here. Now, she probably doesn't want to go long, but she had no chance the trip she got. I'll be very interested in her turning back. Now, BELLE, the rider sensing the pace after having that good early position, makes this wide move and is outside of Expression.
Yeah, this is, sensing the slow pace, a quick move up in it to try to get some position to be in contention coming off the turn, but you're just going to end up making a prolonged 4-wide run around the far turn here, which we see, doesn't work out too often on the inner track, especially when the pace is as controlled as it is between the top 2 horses. Just inside of her, of course, is Expression. Expression's going to get a little bit tired in the stretch here. BELLE, though, a horse that is going to be slightly maybe interfered with at some point in the race with a couple of horses drifting out, but I think the rider overreacted.
Yeah, it appears she's lugging in here as she's turning her head, and he's hitting her left-handed. On the head-on shot, it doesn't seem that she's lugging in. I can't tell what's going on, but you see him having a great deal of trouble handling her here. There may have been an issue, but also, as we'll show you the head-on, these horses are well, the 4 is hurting the 5. They hurt out into the 6. I'm not sure what's going on. The rider can barely ride her.
Right, and on the other hand, if he's able to ride her to the finish, you would think that horse would be able to get 3rd. Instead, Guiana Princess comes up the rail to get 3rd over BELLE, and here's a look at the head on.
Yeah, I don't know. You see her turning her head. This is something I like to ask Richie Migliori about, essentially here. Maybe she's lugging in a bit here as he's hitting the left hand, but, she doesn't seem to be. And now you've got the 4 hurting the 5. There was an inquiry. I think they should have come down, because I think that she did interfere with the 8 horse and with the 6 horse, BELLE. You see him coming out so far in the racetrack. BELLE is in a tough spot on Wednesday. She's facing 2 horses that may just be better than her. But she didn't get any kind of trip she had a chance in this race.
No, I agree, and I think she'll be a fair enough price to give her a whirl next time out if you want to do that. What about Expression, a horse that got no pace, on a turn back source, probably a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I think she's very interesting on a turn back, and it'll be a little dirtied up by this race. And I just think when you have a horse like that in the post, man, you got to go, because the thing is, if she goes aggressively from the gate, it forces the other speed to go a little faster, and that can create some separation in the field. And she very easily could have gone a little bit faster and had much better position. She wasn't winning anyway, but if she had been able to win, she wasn't given a chance to do that.
All right, we'll take a look at race number 8 now from the 17th. This is a New York bred allowance optional claimer for 3-year-olds going a mile and 70.
Yeah, this is an interesting race to talk about. First of all, we're going to see a horse that has a little bit of trouble early in the race, and that's the number 8 horse, I believe, that we want to take a look at, the Brothers Wrap. Now, down on the rail, we'll talk about later, ALCOLITE. I feel like ALCOLITE had a little bit of trouble, but in my opinion, the rider completely and unnecessarily gave up on her.
Yeah, I think that the major trouble for both ALCOLITE and the Brothers Wrap comes, as they approach the far turn. Right now, ALCOLITE's in a pretty good position. Yep. You'd take this 99% of the time going into the first turn.
It's funny, Eric, in watching the replay before we did the show, and we were getting ready to get ready for the show, I remembered so clearly. This was really a situation where hopefully it's a learning experience for Guillermo Rodriguez, who's riding the 8, the Brothers Wrap, because what happens is the 1 horse, ALCOLITE, will end up drifting a little bit behind a very slow pace, and the 8 horse gets suckered on the inside, and you see the steady coming before it even happens. The thing is, ALCOLITE's a horse that was successful last time showing speed, and in this race, there was no pace on paper. From a rail position, the rider was intent on grabbing her the entire way around around the track.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. There is no pace in here. They go 50-1, almost 50-2 to the half, and you'll see the 8-horse, the Brothers Wrap, come up the inside of Alcolite. It's going to get a little tight as they go into the far turn, and they'll both kind of steady out. Alcolite will steady out, and Brothers Wrap will steady out behind Alcolite.
Yeah, this is a very poor move by the apprentice rider here. He learns from it. But then it gets even worse because Paulo Morales is hitting the brakes on Alcolite. I mean, you can see it in there. I don't know what he's doing. And watching the head-on, she wasn't in that tight here and ends up, the Brothers Wrap gets backed up in her face around there, and you see the two of them are right here. Finally, the Brothers Wrap is able to get outside of her and actually makes a fair enough rally in the stretch. Alcolite, now, I don't know where she stands. I don't know how good she is, but she had one being in the two-path in the Gold Rail racetrack, but she is a lot better than this. As you can see in the back of the pack, the rider stopped even riding.
Yeah, the rider wraps up. I mean, look at the Brothers Wrap. I mean, the Brothers Wrap is fifth right now, you know, on the inside into fourth, and the rider doesn't give up and is able to finish off, and the Brothers Wrap actually runs a decent enough race here considering the trouble he had, but still able to get fourth, whereas, you know, you get a little bit conservative on Alcolite, the rider there, and he finishes last.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the Brothers Wrap actually ran okay in this race, and when you consider the lack of pace, braking a little slowly, and the trouble that she had, she ran all right. Alcolite, for me, it's just a complete throwout race, and she'll look dirtied up. And from what we could find out and try to speak to the trainer, there's nothing wrong with the horse, so we expect to see her back. And, you know, there have been situations, I know you get in trouble in situations, but some of these horses are not as bad as their finishes look.
That's for sure. 3 races to bring you from the 19th right now. I'll take a look at race number 4, 2 lifetime, 12,500 claimer for fillies and mares going 6.
Yeah, there was some bad judgment in this race by the rider of the eventual second-place finisher. It didn't really affect Darn That Trip. But Darn That Trip's a horse that had moved forward and actually run okay in her last race and run well against the eventual winner of this race, She's Gospel. Now, She's Gospel has speed. This horse could be the inside speed, and that's what you wanted to have on the 19th a week ago today that we're showing, and that's one of the reasons we're showing races. For whatever reason, the train was dragged back. It made it easy for the winner, She's Gospel, in the front air, and Darn That Trip had an absolutely impossible trip.
Yeah, Darn That Trip still not even on the screen right now at this point here. Darn That Trip is the number 7 horse, actually on the
far outside.
Far outside there, yeah.
Yeah, well, she's easy to see her. She's the gray in here. I mean, once she gets left, she's finished. But it gets even worse from there. And I'm not blaming Channing Hill. He just was put in an untenable position. And now she makes that 4-wide run. And, you know, she's got this 8th place finish, and she'll look terrible off this race. But for me, this race is just a complete and total throwout. Gets left, slow pace, inside track perhaps, hung out to dry. Everything goes wrong, and her prior effort was a real move forward for her. Well, maybe next time out, a fair racetrack, gets out of the gate. She gets back that race 2 back. She can easily beat a field like this, Eric.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, she's got the early speed that she showed, you know, a couple starts or 2 starts back now to be, you know, in better contention. As long as she breaks from the gate, you know, she'll have a big shot from the start, especially against a field like this if they reassemble.
Yeah, no, I think she's a really interesting horse to play, and this race, for the reasons we showed, a complete toss-up.
All right, we'll take a look at the 6th race now. Maiden special weight for New York bred 3-year-old fillies. Looking at a first-time starter in here. That's the number 4 Winter Wish for trainer George Weaver.
Now, this was a race that was upset by an improbable horse at a very, very big price. I don't know that you would have seen the same situation if the Winter Now had been able to, Winter Wish had gotten out cleanly and had not been completely eliminated at the start. You see how bad it was from the head-on. You'll see in the pan shot, this horse just completely eliminated.
And for a first-time starter, this is pretty much, you know, you have no shot after a race, after a start like that. You have no shot like that for most horses, especially a first-time starter, though. And Winter Wish runs remarkably well, I thought, to be beaten 6 1/4.
Yeah, and you see Eddie Kessler trying to sort of aggressively ride her after that instead of letting her relax a little bit. She wasn't going to rocket herself forward. This race was over. Now, the problem with this race, she'll get about a high 30s buyer, Winter Wish, coming out of this race. But when you consider the kind of trouble, the way the track may have been playing, there's a lot of discussion. This 19th track, once again, was an inside-y track, kind of speed. Well, eliminated the start, 3 wide in the turn, all the way back in last, makes the big run. You look at the race, it's a bit of a merry-go-round race, except for Winter Wish.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's Winter Wish right now. On the other hand, though, you know, this is the kind of second-time starter that people fall all over themselves to bet. A horse that has some trouble at the start, that makes a good run at the finish. You might be helped out by the low figure that this horse gets. Yeah, no,
it's an interesting point. Is everybody going to be waiting for this horse as you see her in these sort of pinkish silks and that energetic ride from Eddie Castro? Or are people going to think, well, she's got a 39 buyer, maybe she's not that good? Well, this is a horse that had significant trouble on a track that very much played against what happened to her after the start. and you see a horse like Darn That Trip from 2 races earlier, and you see what a mildly bad start could do to a horse's chances. And at least in the case of Winter Wish, albeit beaten 6 lengths, she easily beats the other rivals in here. She could be okay for George Weaver and a clean. And the other thing is, it's not like she stood in the gate, Eric. She got eliminated as they scrunched her.
Wasn't her fault. You see a lot of the horses that, have some trouble at the start. It's their fault. They either break into somebody else or they break a little bit slowly. Not the case there with Winter Wish. All right, one more race to bring you. We'll take a look at the 7th race from the 19th in New York Red Allowance Optional Claimer.
I don't understand when you have a paceless race on paper how these things happen. But, first of all, we'll talk about the 3-horse in here, Junior Officer, stretching out. Broke a step slow, no attempt to be near the pace. The 5-horse breaks a length slow. Greeley's Law ran very well in here. And here's the heavy favorite, Towering Moon, who at most needs a turn back and maybe needs a rest, but can't get out of the gate. I thought Mike Luzzy gave a very good ride on Towering Moon because he didn't panic after the break. He gets the horse over the rail. Junior Officer has been taken out of position early. Greeley's Law got left. Greeley's Law had an absolute nightmare trip. Here's Junior's Officer towards the inside. Towering Moon's behind that. Greeley's Law is now out here in absolute no man's land by Pablo Morales, and actually miraculously finishes 4th in this race.
Good effort by Greeley's Law, who's out there 4 wide going into the first turn. And Giant Moon for me, I got to Towering Moon for me. I got to see this horse, get a little bit of rest or something, because clearly he's not the same horse he showed he was first time out. I don't know if he's got a little bit of an issue somewhere, but he's not showing the same speed he was, and he's just tough to even get in the race at this point.
I would only bet him turning back, but I agree. And I didn't like how he galloped out past the field so fastly. You begin to wonder if he's just a horse that doesn't really want to win. Now, Greeley's Law has been taken towards the front. They did go 25-2 and then 49. Okay, but still, getting left, gotten put in a terrible position. Junior Officer is now steadying back behind horses. Didn't you have to have a plan with Junior Officer, knowing the way the race looked at paper, knowing the one Jet Set Cat was the main speed? I have got to get this stretch out Junior Officer in the race. Instead, there's sort of no hurry doing that. Here is Greeley's Law. There's Junior Officer. Here's Towering Moon. Poor Mike Luzzy's just dealt a bad hand on a horse who's a very short price favorite.
And the way Mike rode him too, I think he thought he didn't have much under him, because otherwise he would have, with a heavy favorite like this, he could have swung wide. He does the right thing to try to save the ground there and come through the 2-path, but really this horse really has no finish whatsoever here.
I feel like, all things considered, that Greeley's Law ran the best race of anybody. But I feel like if Junior Officer had been aggressively ridden from the start, he did break a step slow, which, is a problem, but if he had been aggressively ridden, I'm not sure he wouldn't have won this race, because given the way the race played out, and maybe the one had the advantage of the rail and he would have had it no matter what happened in the race, the horse that won the race was at best 3rd best in here. And we'll see where these horses go. I would like to see Rudy turn back Junior Officer.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting play. He had poor numbers stretching horses out, and this horse has pretty much been, a sprinter throughout his career, and now turning back, he's got the good numbers.
And Richie's got, right, exactly. Rudy's got the good numbers turning back. Anyway, we can always use your help. Trips and traps at NYRANK.com.
Thanks for watching.